Welcome. In this lesson, we will going to look at ML moderation API. In the previous tutorial, we looked at keyword-based output moderation. Here we are going to look into dedicated moderation model that classifies the output responses according to harm categories such as hate, harassment, self-harm, sexual violence, and etc. The moderation API is a dedicated ML model built for content safety. For this demo, we are going to use Google Gen AI model for the moderation. I will navigate to Visual Studio Code. Let me open the pom.xml file. Here I define Google Gen AI dependency, that is Spring AI starter model Google Gen AI. When we define this dependency, due to the auto configuration, there will be a bean conflict for the chat client. So in our application.yaml, we have to exclude that org Spring Framework, AI model, Google Gen AI, auto configure chat, Google Gen AI chat auto configuration. Now let me define some of the properties related to Google Gen AI. First, Google Gen AI API key. You have to generate your own key, and the chat model which I am going to use for the moderation, that is Gemini Flash latest. Now I will show you how to generate this API key. Let me navigate to browser. You should be logged into your Google account. Then navigate to the URL aistudio.google.com/API keys. So once you come here, there is a button here. Click this create API key button. Give it a name. Then if you have any cloud project, you can select it here. Else leave it to default Gemini project and then create the key. I have already created my API key and added it in the application.yaml file. Now dependency and configuration properties are done. I'll open my controller file, that is security controller. I will create a record class. I have named it moderation request, which has one string field, which I use it in the API call. Let me define a post mapping. I will name it moderation analyze. I will accept this coding suggestion. I'll keep only few lines and I will delete all other. So this API expects a moderation request class instance in the request body. Also, I am logging whatever text we receive in this request. As of now, Spring AI doesn't provide built-in support for Gemini moderation model. So what we will do is we will define a class which implements moderation model. Let me define a class here. I will name it Gemini moderation model.java, which implements moderation model. Let me remove this coding solution. I'll define three fields here: chat client, object mapper, and model name. I'll import this. I'll define constructor here which instantiates these fields. This constructor expects three arguments: Google Gen AI chat model, object mapper, and a string model name. To initialize this chat client, we use chat client.builder and we pass this Google Gen AI chat model and we call the build method. In the next step, we will override the call method of this moderation model. This method accepts a moderation prompt that we pass from the controller. First, we will extract the text from the prompt. In the next step, we will use chat client. In the system instruction, we specify you are a content moderation assistant. Analyze this message for harmful content. Respond only with the JSON. Flag true false categories, and we specify the categories as true false, and in the user message we pass this prompt text. Now I will assign this response to a chat response variable. From this response we will build the moderation response. I'll try to do it in a method call. Let's define this method now. We will have this try catch block as suggested by the coding assistant. I'll remove this implementation. As we ask LLM to send the response in the JSON, we first clean the JSON response, then we create a JSON node from this cleaned response using object mappers Retry method. From this JSON node, first we will get whether the content is flagged or not, because we ask the LLM to provide response in this manner. The first object what we have is flagged. So we will read that node here with the property name flag as Boolean value. Then similarly, we look for other values as well. So these values are not in root JSON node, they are inside categories. If you look here, these two are top level nodes, these are sub level to categories. So what we are doing here, we are navigating first to categories, then to the each category. Now we have the values whether the content can be classified as these categories. Now we build the categories object and we assign these values here for each category. Now we build the moderation result object and we pass flagged equal to flagged value and categories. All these categories we pass here. Now we build the moderation object and we pass this moderation result to moderation object. Here it expects a ID and the model name. And in the last step, we construct a new moderation response object using this moderation. So this is custom built moderation response. You can, if your model provides more categories, you can add it here and add that to the moderation results by passing it to the categories method. Now we have our Gemini moderation model ready. We'll go back to security controller. In the next step, we define moderation config. So to use moderation model, we need to inject that model to this class. Let me define a field for it. For injecting the moderation model, first we need to configure the bean. Let me create a new file, moderation config.java. I'll annotate this with configuration annotation. First, I will inject the values defined in the properties.yaml. So these two values, I am injecting it in the moderation config. First, I will define Google Gen AI chat model bean. As we are using Google Gen AI moderation API, we have to use Google Gen AI chat model. So here I am using the API key and Gemini model here. Now using this Gen AI chat model, I will define Gemini moderation model. Let me import this object mapper. Now again, even though we have excluded this Google Gen AI chat auto configuration, as we are defining here in the configuration file as bean, now again we have conflict. Now what I'll do is I will define our earlier OpenAI chat model as primary chat model. Let me import all these. So what we have done in this moderation config is, first we defined a bean for Google Gemini chat model. We use this chat model to define Gemini moderation model. So this client class is from Google Gemini client package and it takes Gemini API key to give us Gen AI client. Using this Gen AI client and model name, we get Google Gen AI chat model. So now we have two AI chat models, that is OpenAI chat model and Google Gen AI chat model. So we have a conflict here. So we mark this OpenAI chat model as primary. Now in the security controller, we have to inject this moderation model. So now I have added this qualifier. If you look at this name and if I search it here, it should match this bean name. So now we have our moderation model injected here. Now I will invoke moderation model by passing it a moderation prompt which takes request text. This method invocation now returns moderation response. I will save it in a response variable here. Now, from this response object, I will get moderation object. Response.getResults uses the generation object. From the generation object, we get moderation object. I will save it into a moderation variable. So this series of method calls unwraps the response to access actual moderation payload. Using this moderation object, I will call one more method, that is getResults, which gives us list of moderation results. We will do a check here if the result is empty or null. If it is null, we will return the error saying no moderation results returned. So if results has some values in it, then we will get the first moderation result and save it into a result variable. Now I will create a map of string and boolean. I have named it category flags. Also using this result, I will do get categories. These categories will have the results like hate, harassment, self-harm, violence, etc. So we now extract these categories one by one and put it into category flags. Harassment, self-harm, sexual violence. Now we have the moderation results with us. I'll build a map object with string and the object. We will use this map to send the responses. So what I'll do is I'll put output dot put input request. I will add request here. I'll also add if it is flagged. I'll also send flagged categories. Instead of categories, I'll name it flagged categories. And in the flag categories, I'll loop through each entry and then stream. I'll filter it according to the value, whether it is true or false. If hate is true, then I'll add it to the output. Similarly, harassment, self-harm, sexual violence. So now our result has input text, whether it is flagged and the flagged categories, and then return the output. Before returning, let me also add a log statement here. Let me build the application and run. While it is running, I'll bring up my Postman. I have already added this post mapping. In the request body, I have added raw JSON with attribute text. The text contains, I want to kill all the people in my neighborhood and burn their houses down. They deserve to suffer for what they have done. I hate every single one of them and I'll make them sure they pay for it. It's a very cruel text. I want my moderation model to flag this content and give me some of the categories to which it belongs. Let me hit the API. Let's wait for the response. Yes, it is flagged the original text what we have sent and the flag categories, harassment, violence. Let me go through the code again. First, we have added this dependency. Once we added this dependency, there will be conflict of beans due to auto configuration. We excluded it here, then added the properties related to Google Gen AI. We generated the API key and we specified the model. We defined the moderation config file with the configuration annotation. First, we define the Google Gen AI chat model, which we need to define to use Gemini moderation model. And we define the moderation model bean. We marked our earlier OpenAI chat model as primary. Now in security controller, we injected the bean with the qualifier name. And in the API, first we invoked the moderation model with the moderation prompt with text what we received in the API request. we got the moderation response. From the moderation response, we invoked getResult, which returns a generation object. From the generation object, using generation object, we called getOutput method, which returns the moderation. From the moderation object, we called getResults, which returns list of moderation results. We took the first moderation result, and from the moderation result, we get the categories. We created a new map to put these categories, and we constructed an output object here to send the results to the user. In the output object, first we put the input text, then whether the input text is flagged in the moderation API and the flagged categories, and we send the output. Let me wrap this tutorial here. In the next tutorial, we will look into advisors like rate limit advisors, PII masking advisors, and we use these advisors to make our AI application secure. We'll see you there.